G'day folks, Conor here from C-Dubs Media, back with another video. And today we're doing a review on the Oppo A58. Oppo's low-end product to come out at the end of 2023. Sorry Oppo, didn't get to it sooner, was just under the pump a little bit, but here we are, we're talking about it now. This is Oppo's latest little budget phone. It is it is 250 bucks roughly at JB Hi-Fi. You can get it all over the place. It's in all the retailers, 250 bucks. And the first thing I want to get across to you is the battery. 5,000 milliamp hour battery. It will get you through 2 days of use at medium usage. If you're a heavy user, 1 day. If you're a light user, I reckon you could squeeze at least 3 days out of it. But none of that really matters because it does have Super VOOC charging in there as well, which means it charges 50% in 33 minutes or something crazy like that. So you can just plug it in half an hour, you get another day's worth of use out of it. So battery usage, I'm really happy with. I think it's just nicely done, how much battery's in there, how fast it charges, and also how efficient it is as well. So in here we have a MediaTek Helios chipset. It's a low-end one, so it's not going to draw a lot of power. It's not going to use a lot of battery. We also have a screen that only comes in at 680 nits peak brightness, which is enough for good performance in sunlight, like you can see it, but not so much that it drains your battery really quickly. So the battery performance here is on a different level, and that's why I'm saying that if you're a medium user, you might be able to squeeze 3 days out of it. If you're a light user, more than 3 days, definitely. So battery power, battery charging, and power usage all get the big tick from me. Now that display also comes in, it is a full HD display and it comes in at 391 pixels per inch. It looks really nice, really bright and really vibrant. And it has dual stereo speakers, so when you're gaming or watching content, you're gonna get that stereo effect instead of the mono effect. I like how they've presented this in this phone. It's a good little performer when it comes to content with that display and those speakers. Now I just mentioned before the MediaTek Helios chipset, and that is also paired up with 6 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. So it's got enough in there to get you by. That 6 gigabytes of RAM and the MediaTek chipset, they're gonna perform well enough to use it day to day, like scrolling websites, scrolling social media, watching videos, some light gaming, or some heavy gaming with light settings enabled. So either way, you're gonna be able to game on it. I know that's important for a lot of people that can afford this phone. Being able to game is essential, so definitely don't overlook this. It can do it, just make sure your settings are correct for your device, which most game developers sort of built into the app anyway, so it's not really something you have to focus on. Now it does also come in 2 different colors. We have, I think it's glowing black and dazzling green. This is the dazzling green color. I'm going to say it looks a little bit more aqua, but to those of them in the marketing division, it's dazzling green. Happy days. But anyway, they look nice. Black is your typical like sleek looking look, and then here's something a little bit more flasher, a little bit more standouty. Now, leading into the cameras, 50 megapixel rear facing camera. Now that is the main sensor on here. It comes in at about f1.7. It's going to give you some good bokeh, some nice punchy landscape photos. I mean, they're going to be quite saturated. It's going to give you enough. But what it does have, it's a 50 megapixel AI camera. So you can adjust it in camera to smooth out your skin, maybe give you a little bit less of a chubby look, maybe brighten the teeth up a little bit. Like it does this all in camera, this AI effect. So you might be like me and not really care for that, but for those of you that do want to look a little bit better on camera, maybe even a little bit artificially generated, then this camera can actually do that for you, which is quite impressive at that $250 price point. Now it is an 8 megapixel front facing camera, so again, good enough for like video calls and stuff like that. It's gonna get you by. We're not out to win any awards with this. We're not out to be Spielberg. We're not out to be the latest and greatest portrait photographer on the runways of Paris. We're taking photos at home, we're taking photos out and about on our day-to-day lives, it's going to perform good enough for all of us in that scenario. And this is the rear-facing camera. This is also 1080p, 30 frames per second. Again, I'm probably well exposed, but the sky is probably a little bit blown out. But that's what you're going to get again for 200 bucks. I don't think you'd be disappointed at that price point. Maybe if you are disappointed at that price point, your expectations are too high. See what the stabilization is like. Now the video, it is default 720p on the front and rear facing cameras, which is a little bit disappointing. You can change it to 1080p, 30 frames per second, but it would be nice if it was like 1080p as a minimum, 4K once you change it in the settings, but we don't have 4K here. 720p default with a 1080p maximum. This is the front facing camera, 1080p, 30 frames per second. It's as good as it's going to get on the front facing camera. You can see that I'm fairly well exposed, but above me the sky is blown out to the max. But 200 bucks, really you're not going to complain about that. Most of the image is good enough. It'll get you by for your TikTok videos and your video calls and your quick 5-second clips you're going to post on your story and that sort of shit. You're not going to have any issues there. It's definitely good enough for the price point. I think, you know, if you're the sort of person where you're budget conscious, then results aren't always going to be that important. This is not a flagship. This is going to make you happy. Couple of other things I do want to mention. It is IPX4 rated, so it's like splash proof, not dust proof tested, just splash proof. I guess it's not dust proof because it's expensive to get those ratings here in Australia, so you're not going to invest everything into your budget device, but it is IPX4, which is not bad. And then that security for logging into your device, you have facial recognition and a fingerprint sensor on the side. I would say is always, my opinion is it's the worst place to put the fingerprint scanner, but that's where it is here. And you can also just go your old school pattern and pin if you don't like those biometrics. So they've got you covered in all areas. Facial unlock with Oppo is always really, really fast. I've always been impressed by it. It's only like the flagships, in my opinion, are just catching up to Oppo. So that says something. I just love how fast they are. Now also the software here is ColorOS, which is Oppo's own OS. Some great little features in ColorOS that give you lots of customization options. You really don't have to worry too much about the performance of the software. It has been proven over generations of software releases that ColorOS is up there with the best of them, and I think a lot of people might even prefer ColorOS once they get used to it. If you're not coming from Oppo, it'll take a bit of adjusting, a bit of a settling in period, but it's not going to take you any longer to get used to as though you were going to another manufacturer anyway. So don't stress too much about that. ColorOS, really user friendly, lots of customizations. I think it is a great little asset to the Oppo phones. I'm trying to think of as much more for me to say. I mean, it comes in 192 grams, so it's not heavy. It's a typical phone. Talking on it, you can hear people, they can hear you. It's nice. It's a good phone. Looks good, feels good, sounds good. That's pretty much it. The Oppo A58, I think it's a great little budget device. If you're in the market for a budget phone, check out the A58. If you're in the market for something else, check out something else. I don't really care. So tell me if this looks real, because it's certainly as fake as it's ever going to be. Anyway, thanks for taking the phone call, Conor. Bye.